Good evening and welcome to tonight's production of We Regret to Inform You, devised, produced, and presented by Little Ghost Theater. My name is Charlotte Peters, I'm the director of this piece, and I'm so honored to have the opportunity to welcome you here tonight. A few quick things before we get started. First of all, I'm speaking to you from Seattle, Washington. The actors that you'll see tonight are in Kingston, New York, and Western Massachusetts. While this play exists in a digital space, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the rightful custodians of the land that we are currently living and working on: the Duwamish and Coast Salish people, the Munsee Lenape, and the Mohican Nation. As I said, this play exists in a digital space, so we're streaming it tonight, but you'll also be able to watch it through next weekend. A link that allows you to do this will be available on the Little Ghost Facebook page, so please spread the word, and please follow Little Ghost on Facebook, where you can learn more about this show as well as upcoming productions. We are accepting donations tonight on behalf of Rise Up Kingston, a grassroots organization dedicated to dismantling systemic racism and other systems of oppression. If you would like to donate, links to do that, as well as a link to the Facebook page and to learn more about Rise Up, are in the video description below. This show runs about 70 minutes with no intermission, and after the performance we will be doing a post-play discussion with myself and the cast. So if you'd like to learn more about the process or the show itself, ask any questions you might have, please stick around. We'd love to have you. You can ask any questions in the video chat. I think that's everything. So, for the sake of nostalgia, please turn off your cell phone, sit back, relax. Thank you so much for being here, and enjoy the show.
Regret. The definitions.
A feeling of sadness.
Over something that has happened or been done.
Disappointment.
Over a loss or missed opportunity.
Regret is the emotion of wishing one had made a different decision in the past.
Because the consequences of that decision were unfavorable.
An expression of sorrow caused by something beyond a person's control.
I recall my harsh words with much regret.
A note politely refusing to accept an invitation. I send my regrets.
Meet Jamie and Devin. Two people not unlike you or I. Yet, as they navigate this plane of existence, we'll find their approaches differ.
Jamie?
Yes, Devin Baker?
Hi, yes, how are you? Can I have a hug?
Oh, no, Corona and all that. You're shorter than your profile says.
I'm not, really. 5'11", like we clarified when we started messaging.
It's just that I know a number of guys that height, and, well, you look shorter than them.
I'm sorry, did I do something wrong? I feel like you're prying me apart with your eyes. I have a tape measure in my car if you want me to prove my height or something.
No, I'm sorry I said anything. I'm sure that you're right. let's get a table. Excuse me?
Hi, yes, you're ready to be seated?
Yes, I'd like a booth, please.
That'll be about a 10-minute wait. Is that okay? Or we have a table available now.
Devin, what do you think?
Oh, I'm easy. Whatever.
Let's wait for a booth.
Waiting it is.
Okay, you'll be up next. I'll grab you when the booth's ready.
So, how was your day?
I had a fight with my sister. So I'm a little, edgy, honestly.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, can I trust you?
God, that's a big question. I mean, of course, but trust me with what? Do you want to know if I'll spread it on the internet or if you can trust me not to judge you or what?
Don't put anything about me on the internet.
Oh, I won't.
Okay, so basically, she called me a whore because I'm doing online dating.
That's harsh.
I know, right? I mean, how else am I supposed to meet anyone these days?
Exactly. And it's not like you're sleeping with everyone you meet on the internet, right? Not that there's a problem with that. So, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, I'm a semi-professional bowler. I'm sorry, but I Googled you before coming here, and it was really hard to find out, anything about you. Do you, not believe in Facebook or something?
No, I just take internet privacy very seriously.
Okay, well, clue me in, what do you do for fun? How long was your last relationship? What went wrong? What are your biggest regrets? And do you have any children?
A lot of really good questions. Do you always start off with such a bang?
Kind of sounds like you're dodging.
I'm not. I'm trying to get a read on you before I answered your soul-searching questions.
You don't need a read on me to answer honestly.
I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. It seems like you're not having fun or not in the mood to have fun or something. So maybe we should reschedule or cancel or I don't know.
No, listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been screwed over the last few times I've met someone, so I'm a little skittish. But I haven't said anything to try to make you uncomfortable. I can answer every one of the questions I asked. I'll even go first. I don't have any kids.
I have one fur baby, a cat named Clarence.
My last relationship was a year and a half.
My last relationship was 6 years.
What went wrong?
She wanted kids. What went wrong in yours?
God, he cheated on me. God, and the bitch he was sleeping with called him while we were on a date.
Oof.
What are your regrets?
You're supposed to go first.
Oh, right. Okay, I regret. It's a hard question. Okay, I regret not spending more time with my father before he passed away, but I don't know if that's my biggest regret.
I'm sorry about your father. But do you see my point? You ask hard questions. Don't believe in leaving anything to the imagination, huh?
Tell me your regrets.
Nope.
Come on, just a little one.
I regret dropping out of college.
Interesting. What was your major?
Modern dance.
Oh, shut up.
I'm serious. Plus, I'm super flexible, even at a practice like I am.
See, that's great. I regret sleeping with the last guy I slept with.
I regret stealing a candy bar from CVS when I was 6.
Well, why did you do it?
I didn't understand you had to pay for things yet.
I regret fighting with my sister. God, even though she is such a bitch. Oh, come on.
I regret this conversation.
But I thought we had made like a nice turnaround.
It's just a lot very quickly. What happened to talking about the weather and pleasantries?
I guess that I just like jumping like right to the meat of the conversation. Like, do you believe in God?
See, what about our conversation has led you to this? Why would you just jump to that? Speaking of regrets, I regret coming out on this date, honestly, and I'm gonna go before this gets any weirder.
How do you regret this? We haven't done like anything wrong.
You don't have to have done anything wrong to regret it. It's not about guilt. It's about time and effort.
You know what? You have been trying to get out of this date like the whole evening. So yeah, why don't we just go our separate ways?
Great.
And delete my number while you're at it.
Miles ahead of you.
Your booth is ready.
I guess it's a booth for one now. Is that okay?
Of course it's okay. Are you okay?
Yep, fine. Listen, you heard that whole thing. Who was the weird one?
Oh, her for sure. And I'm not just saying that. But I will say this. I know I'm being forward, but I get off work in about 15 minutes. I could join you at your booth for one.
Honestly, that's amazing, but too weird for me. No offense, but I'm gonna get going before I regret this night more than I do already.
Regret comes in so many shapes and sizes, and everyone has some they're carrying around, even if you can't see it. Here's a list from Ellie. Putting too much salt in her soup. Being strong for her mother while she was dying. Drinking too much last night. Not going to her grandmother's funeral. Binge watching Last Man on Earth instead of making art. That awkward thing she said just now. Working too much, not working enough. Not speaking up, staying up so late. The teenage hormones that made her think things like, I wish my dad would just die. And then he did.
It seems to me that even though regret can be a helpful tool in learning to find balance within your own thoughts and actions, it can lead to a large amount of self-guilt that nobody needs. Regret is just another word for self-judgment. It encompasses so many things, big and small. I regret putting too much salt in this soup I made, but I can add water and fix it. It's the means by which I learned to cook better. I regret putting on a brave face as my mom was slowly dying of cancer. I did both because I thought that she needed it and to get myself through the day, when I know now she would have preferred that I show her and share with her how much it hurt that she was dying. We could have processed our grief together instead of my holding it in for years. I guess now I know better for next time, but this was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So I ask, is there a better emotional tool than regret to learn through? A gentler one?
Ever wonder what the people in the cars you pass lives are like? Ever feel like no one's been through what you have? It's hard to recall day to day that everyone has a little bit of regret, and they might just be reaching out because they want to sit and forget about their regrets too.
I have a cosmic sense of regret. I don't want to say I regret being born, but I regret that all children start life in such a violent manner. If you think about it, babies are in some way forced from a warm cocoon out a tiny opening into the cold world. So abrupt, yet necessary, I guess. I don't regret most of my childhood. Kids are pretty stupid, and I was one of them. Yes, on a psychological level, children are amazing, but nothing can prepare you for the amount of knowledge you need just to traverse this plane. No, most of my regret comes from my teenage years, when I should have known better. I just should have. I regret the fact that humanity is so fractured And what have I contributed to healing that fracture? Nothing. I'm trying to right my wrongs now. As an adult who knows a lot more and is actively taking part in this timeline, I find I need to be responsible for all the hurt I've caused to others and myself when I was stupider.
Regret is a circle. If we are on a path moving forward in a straight line, regret loops us back into our memories over and over again. Why, when we know we cannot go back in time, do we allow ourselves to travel in our minds to a single point? This is Regretty! Let's meet our contestants. A Hollywood actress originally from Cleveland, Ohio, Halle Berry. A former KKK member and human rights activist from Memphis, Tennessee, T.M. Garrett. And our returning champion, a semi-professional bowler from Kingston, New York, Jamie Clarkson. And I'm your host, Alice Regret. Welcome to Regretty. Let's take a moment to get to know our contestants. Halle, you once received an award for your performance in Catwoman, but not the one you expected. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I can, Alice. I was nominated for a Razzie, which is an award for the worst in movies and acting. I actually did expect it, so of course I attended the event, and I won Worst Actress for Catwoman.
Ah, congratulations! What did you say in your acceptance speech?
I thanked Warner Brothers for casting me, of course, and anything I said after that, your people would have to bleep out, so I'll just stop right there.
Alrighty then, sounds like you made the best of a regrettable situation. Next we have TM. Now, you were a white supremacist at one point, weren't you?
Yes, unfortunately I was.
What changed?
I had an experience which I have described on the news before, where a minority group I hated showed me unconditional love and compassion. I did not expect that this would happen, and their influence made my hate crumble. So now I've founded a nonprofit called Change, which does food drives, community outreach, and campaigns against violence and racism. I have also started the Erase the Hate campaign, where members of hate groups can get their tattoos removed, leave those groups, and start connecting with the love we all share on this planet.
Good on you, TM! Way to channel that regret into positive change. And Jamie, you've been online dating, but it hasn't been going very well, has it?
That's true, Alice.
Care to elaborate for our audience? Some specific regrets?
They're rather private. I guess I'll just say some people are not as honest as they pretend to be. And the argument, it feels better without one. God, it's like a huge red flag. And
that does sound personal. Alrighty, moving right along. Let's begin our first round of Regretty. These are our categories. Climate change. For the lulls, reality TV, buyer's remorse, sweet tweets are made of these, and I regret to say, where you have to name the person who said the quote. Jamie, you pick first.
Do I have to?
Yes.
I regret to say, for 200.
No one regrets these measures more bitterly than I do, but we must take firm action now. TM.
Who is Boris Johnson?
Correct.
Let's do For the Lulz for 800.
This unofficial organization, which dances between hacktivism and cyber terrorism in their campaigns, does almost everything for the lulz. TM.
What is 4chan?
Not quite. Hallie.
What is anonymous?
That is correct.
I regret to say for 400.
And I regret to say 4chan.
This art student said, "It's just that I know a number of guys that height, and you look shorter than them." Hallie.
Who is Jamie Clarkson?
From SUNY New Paltz. Yes, that's correct.
Wait, hey, wait a minute. Like, how does she know that? What's going on here?
That is incorrect. Hallie, please pick your next category.
I regret to say for 1,000, please.
LOL, well, that date sucked. Is it so much to ask that someone answers your questions honestly? Jamie.
Who is me? Who's me earlier today?
Nope, we are looking for a name. TM.
Who is Jamie Clarkson?
That's correct.
Okay, this is so messed up. All I did was ask some really important questions. I've been screwed over so many times, and all I want is someone who will be upfront and honest with me from the start. Is that too much to ask for? God, and seriously, what is with this game? Can I just wake up for rug with a put it in a
Hey, little lady, take a deep breath and press the decelerator. Nobody is out to get you. You can choose peace.
Yes, for the love of God, can you just please shut your damn mouth?
And on that note, we have to take a break. Please join us again for our final round of Regretity, where we'll find out each contestant's biggest personal regret and decide who has it the worst. We regret to say, we'll be right back. Dreams. Nature's way of processing our regrets. Or so they say. Even I have my regrets. It's been 10 years. 10 long years, and we're still together. I first experienced your addictive beauty back in college, when I didn't know who I was, or where I was going. Still don't, but you've stuck it out with me. I kept you a secret from those I could. We'd flirt behind buildings and hide behind walls. I'd sneak you up into my room, always keeping the window open just for you. And then there were the car rides, the mindless, endless, anxiety-fueled trips that I couldn't handle solo. But you kept me company. You calmed my nerves. I'll never forget the night my mom found out about you. Dad came home late, and if I'd only kept that bedroom window shut, it would have come out eventually. She said she wasn't upset. I could tell she was upset. She said she wasn't disappointed. I could tell. She was disappointed. But then she said we could stay together. She even set up the front porch for our rendezvous. So why was I so distraught? Our filthy secret was out, and the world was to know we were together. My sister hates you. She pretends to tolerate you since she cares about me. But I know she hates me too. Because of you. But you keep me company. You calm my nerves. I still keep you a secret from those I can. When people find out about us, it's always the same. Really? I just can't believe it. How could you do something so stupid? And they're not wrong. It is stupid. Because no matter how much I want you, how much I love you, honey, you're killing me. Every dance we take, every song we sing, every moment we're alone together, you're killing me. But you keep me company. You calm my nerves. Every year we spend together, I lose 2 months, and that's 10 years. So 20 months gone. 20 long months gone. But maybe deep down, that's the point. I don't want to die anymore because I know you're doing the work. Do I regret ever meeting you? Absolutely. Do I regret every day we've spent together? Yes, I do. Will I ever let you go? Who knows? I can live with regret. Regret isn't killing me. Sure, it eats at me and fills my stomach with bile and makes me throw up dinner once a week, but it isn't killing me. That's all you, babe. It's been 10 years. 10 long years and we're still together. Here's to 10 more. Or so I thought.
My thoughts on love.
I like you.
I like you.
I love you.
I love you.
Every day,
Every day.
more and more,
More and more.
to the point,
Of pure unbridled joy.
then one day,
One day.
a little less
A little less.
and less,
And less.
until the point,
That I am sickened by your face.
and yet,
I stay.
and stay, until I pass regret.
Then I say,
No more. Next time I will only stay while there is joy.
Why? When I know I can't go back in time, do I allow myself to travel there in my mind? Is it to relive it? To punish myself? Is it to learn a lesson?
How do you process? What works for you? Some people love to write. Others not so much. For some, it comes easy.
I wonder if you do the same things that I once did. Did she smile about it as much as I do? Was she the only one who could put me to sleep, or could he too? I wonder what parts of him are in you. Do all throw fits so easily? I wonder if they hugged me as tight as I hug you. I feel like I know that they would, but I can't be sure. I wonder if my longing for them to know you will ever fade, or will it only grow deeper? I wonder if you will ever be curious about them. I wonder what my writing group will think of this one.
Only good things, I hope. Now to the one whom writing does not come so easily to.
Regret is a teacher. I regret not ending things sooner with my first boyfriend. I did what I thought was best at the time, but did I break his heart unnecessarily? Would it have broken less if I had? But it doesn't matter. Oh, I hate homework. Hey, I'm sorry I haven't called in a while. I miss you.
Oh, whatever. We both know I'm the one who calls.
True. So how are you? How's the dog?
The usual. I'm good. Work sucks. Mr. Pickles is great. How about you?
Same old, same old. School is fine. I hate finals, but I only have like 2 more essays, so it'll be fine.
I'm so glad I'm done with school.
Yes, rub it in, why don't you?
That's my job, Sid.
So, hey, listen, there's something I really wanted to ask you.
Ominous much? Nah, it's cool. What is it?
Are you mad at me? And last time we saw each other, and I just wanted to know if you're still mad at me. Shit.
Well, Jamie, I'm trying not to be, but you said some pretty mean stuff.
Well, so did you. I mean, I'm not a whore.
I'm just looking out for you.
Just having a really hard time living with myself, knowing you were mad when...
There's nothing that can be done about it now, so let's just talk about something else. How was the date? Did you sleep with him?
Oh my God, no. We didn't even get dinner.
What went wrong?
I think I was like too much for him.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a first.
Hey.
What? You know I'm right.
Listen, sis. I'm sorry.
I know.
No, like really, God, really sorry.
I know.
But it doesn't change anything. You're still...
Jamie, come on, I would have forgiven you in time. Sisters do that. They fight all the time and then they come together.
Yeah, but usually they actually get to say, I'm sorry, too.
You just did.
Oh, that doesn't count. I mean, you didn't really hear it. I wish we had more time, or I knew what was going to happen that night. It's not fair.
What does Mom always say?
Life's not fair, is it?
You see, I will never be king.
And you shall never see the light of another day.
Adieu.
She is really into the Lion King, like too much.
Yeah, but only the 1994 version.
This is why I miss you. We shared a life, and now
you have to grow up a little too fast.
I love you, sis, like so much.
I love you too. And Jamie, try to stop beating yourself up. I got in the car with him. It was an accident. It isn't your fault.
I'll always miss you. Love you, sis. Goodbye. I'll take good care of Mr. Pickles for you.
I don't know if you get to call it a regret once you're gone, but if I could, getting in that car was one of mine. When people are asked what their biggest regrets are, you hear things like
Cheating on a partner, dating a certain person, not dating a certain person, staying with a certain person too long, marrying too early.
And partying too much, drinking too much, smoking, not being careful while driving, not standing up for themselves, not letting the people around them know that they love them.
Bullying others, hurting others.
Not getting help sooner, not coming out sooner.
High school.
High school.
High school.
Well,
high school.
Going to college.
Not going to college.
Not pursuing a certain career path.
Not spending enough time with loved ones before they pass away. So what did you notice? What causes all these regrets? Fear mostly. So many different kinds of fear. Let's stop being so afraid and focus on living. On living big and free and open to each other and the world. Isn't that what we're here for tonight? After all, to put ourselves and our work out there.
it looks like it's just you and me this week for this week's writing group, so let's get started.
Okay, so I have 2 new regrets this week, since that's what we've been writing about.
Ooh, are they juicy?
Very. First off, I regret online dating. I went out on this date with this weirdo. Even the waitress was appalled at what she was hearing.
Oh my, like what?
I don't even know. She just kept asking me these really huge questions, but there wasn't a natural flow to the conversation. It was like she was picking me apart, trying to find something wrong with me.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, it was nuts. And my other regret, well,
Did you want to talk about it?
might as well. Essentially, I'm regretful that I didn't finish my writing assignment.
Ah.
So I apologize, and I feel like I always do this to you, but I have an excuse. As I always do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. My brother just got arrested as being the lead man of a counterfeiting ring.
Wow. I'm so sorry. Which brother?
Jack!
And Jack is older than you?
No, all my brothers are younger than me. He's the youngest, though.
Got it. I'm sorry to hear that. Where does he live?
In prison now.
Oh.
Sorry, he's been living in Jersey for a few years now.
Were you too close?
No, not really. Out of all of my siblings, he was probably the most distant.
Devin, while this is terrible news, I'm not really sure why you're choosing this as your excuse. Also, you know our writing group rules.
Ugh. Do I have to?
If you don't finish the assignment, you have to talk about what's blocking you and work on it here.
Okay, well, I guess the thing that's really haunting me is that I was there when my mom found out, and she was shaking. She didn't cry, she just shook. And my therapist didn't take any of my calls this week. And my sister, who's really close with him, she's been leaning on me pretty heavily. No, you know what it really is? It really is the fact that he did this to my family. He went and ruined something practically perfect. Now, if someone Googles me or my mom or my other brothers, they're going to eventually find out that I'm connected to a counterfeiter. I feel defamed. I feel cheated. And it's not like this is the only thing. I can't get into the other shit, but there's other shit. It's personal. And before you ask, no, I'm not going to talk about it here. At least not today. And honestly, it's like feeling a family member die. When I found out that he'd been counterfeiting, I pretty much said to myself, you know what? He's dead to me now. I'm sick of pulling him out of his scrapes, and this is the last straw. Do you know what his day job was?
What?
An accountant.
Ironic.
That's putting it mildly.
So let me sum up. You're feeling sorry for yourself because your brother is ruining your perfect idea of your family.
No. Yes? I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm feeling regretful. I think he must have had some trauma in his childhood that led him to this, and I regret that I wasn't there to stop it, as a big brother should have.
That's guilt talking. You're feeling guilty.
Maybe, but aren't guilt and regret closely related?
Maybe. I regret losing my chance at being a Danish citizen, but I don't think I feel guilty about it.
Oh, maybe I have a guilt complex, but to my larger point, this is why I don't want to have kids. How can my mother not regret bringing such a monster into this world?
Devin, I have to be honest with you. I think you're being much too extreme about this. Yes, counterfeiting is a crime, but he didn't murder anyone, and he will be held accountable.
But what about me? We have the same parents. We have the same blood. What he is capable of is what I'm capable of. What if I become a plague on society like he is?
This is not regret. This is conceit.
Thanks.
I'm being serious. Get your head out of your ass for a second. He is his own person with his own issues. So stop feeling sorry for yourself and stop beating yourself up for something that he did.
I regret being kind to him. I regret not being kinder to him. I feel guilty that I didn't do more, that I did too much. I'm confused.
You're confused because you're not compartmentalizing. Recognize that he is his own person with his own issues, and your actions most likely did nothing to directly impact him. Did you tell him to print fake money?
No.
Then stop. Just stop.
Stop being regretful or being guilty? It feels like I didn't learn my lesson then.
You want a lesson? Okay. What, if anything, would you change knowing what you know now?
I think, I don't know. I would have been kinder to him and exemplified honesty as best I could.
So that's your lesson. You carry that forward with you. How can you be kinder and exemplify honesty more?
To him?
Sure, he could probably use your forgiveness, but to everyone, to anyone who could be impacted by you.
That's a big challenge.
You're up for it. Just do your best. That's all anyone is asking of you. Forgive yourself and vow to move through the world with more kindness and honesty.
Preachy.
Whatever it takes.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't complete the writing assignment for this week.
It's fine. I forgive you. What lesson did you learn?
God, I guess that I should prepare more and forgive faster.
Good enough. Now it's my turn. My whole life, I didn't feel American. I still don't really. I grew up part-time in my immigrant father's OCD Danish household. I really connected with the idea of being Danish and knew I would always have my citizenship to fall back on should America not be where I wanted to live. But as it turns out, they have a strict law in Denmark about applying for it before age 22. I called a month after I turned 22. I used so many excuses and blamed a number of other people for this mistake. My Danish relative who told me the age limit was 23, my dead father who was supposed to do it for me, the country of Denmark for having such a dumb and arbitrary deadline. I asked about exceptions. I didn't qualify for the exceptions, which are living in Denmark for a year of your life or speaking the language fluently, either or both, before the age of 22. Then I started blaming myself for not learning the language when I was younger, for my dyslexia, which made learning languages a struggle, for waiting so long to call. I was mad. For years. I'm still a little mad. I regretted it. But all those negative feelings wouldn't change it. Even when the country of Denmark needed more citizens and changed their immigration laws, I still didn't count as eligible. So I just stopped thinking about it. For years it lay dormant in my head. Here I am 10 years later, forgiving myself instead of hitting myself. Here I am 10 years later, buckling down to learn the language, even though it won't gain me my citizenship. Here I am 10 years later, closer than ever to my Danish cousin. It is what it is, and there's no use lamenting. Plus, I could always do it the old-fashioned way and live there on a work visa for 8 years, which should be easy if, in fact, I ever really wanted to live there.
Time might not heal all wounds, but it sure makes them bearable.
Okay, how about this? Did I break his heart unnecessarily? Would it have broken less if I had? But it doesn't matter. I should find resolution in knowing I did my best, shouldn't I? Now, knowing what I know and feeling what I feel. What do you think, Mom? No. Never mind. God, okay, I'm putting you on speakerphone. All right. Here's what I wrote for class this week. Let me know what you think. You held me. I was held by you until the last time you put me down. Then I held you. But did I hold you how you needed to be held? We held each other. What portion of the truth is the best? When you held me, did you tell me the truth? Did you say what needed to be said all the time? Now, when I held you, I said wrong things. I did my best. Can you forgive me? Even though you're gone, I hold you in my heart. I cling to whatever I can. That is the truth. It's about me now. I wish it were about us, but I'll hold you forever. Mom?
She'll be okay. Time changes all, heals all, whether it leaves a scar on our heart or not. Let's take a break from our regularly scheduled programming for the news.
We regret to inform you that life, as usual, has been canceled until further notice.
Sadly, the plans which were drawn up in preparation for this disaster by the previous administration have been thrown out.
Unfortunately, because they changed course in an attempt to miss, the iceberg destroyed a wider surface of the ship's hull, flooding multiple compartments which she was not designed to handle.
The officer said, "We extend our deepest regrets to the detained children and their parents, wherever they may be."
Due to a lack of government support, the hospitals and infrastructure of the island were not restored in time to withstand another storm of this magnitude.
Compounding the tragedy was the removal of half the lifeboats from the deck to make it look less cluttered.
Plagued by regret, this farmer is now speaking out on behalf of migrant workers.
While women and children were placed on the lifeboats first, steerage passengers were mostly excluded, leaving survival to the richest and luckiest passengers.
We regret that these experiments were done on people of color, eroding their trust in science and the vaccine.
They also regretted not loading the lifeboats to full capacity for fear of them sinking, when they were designed to save many more souls.
Many protesters are arguing that it is inexcusable that the vaccine has not been distributed faster, let alone a stimulus. Washington issues no apologies in response, opting instead to blame their cohorts on the other side for the delay.
One developer is quoted as saying, "I don't even let my daughter use this technology, and I absolutely regret developing it. We need humane technology, or we are all doomed."
Reflecting on the ship they once called unsinkable now gives us pause. How may we prevent another tragedy of this magnitude?
At the conclusion of their study, experts agreed. Sometimes you don't know you need to regret something until it happens to you.
Play.
As I apply another layer of mascara over yesterday's crusty remains, battle with my left earlobe to secure the sparkly earring, and revel in painting each chewed fingernail a shade of hot pink, I wonder what my male ancestors would think of who I am and how I fit into their legacy. When I'm reminded of the men in my family, I think of VHS tapes. I'm reminded of my great-grandfather, who would send each new Disney release on clunky VHS. Or my grandfather, whose collection of Franklin tapes kept all the grandchildren occupied while he could rewatch The Sound of Music ad nauseum. Or my father, whose multitude of VHSs spanned an entire bookshelf. My father and I would bond over movie nights. John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, Christopher Reeves. White male savior complexes where the cowboy gets the dame and the hero saves the day. These strange men never sat right with me. I contemplate what they taught me about how to be a man, or how not to be.
Rewind.
It's my first day of life. My grandfather holds the camcorder while my father insists to his sister that the blue dye the nurses stamp my feet in clearly means I'm lacking oxygen, and how she must do something if she wants to save my life. I think of how she worried. I think of how he laughed.
Fast forward.
As I watch this first tape of my existence, I notice how I'm already the punchline to my father's joke. Having a sense of humor. This must make a man.
Rewind.
Every holiday, my grandfather sets up his fireplace with a different light display to reflect the season. St. Patrick's Day, a green lit outline of a shamrock. Valentine's Day, a pink lit outline of a heart, etc., ad nauseum. And every Christmas, the fireplace is too busy with its light display to have an actual fire. So my grandfather pops in his favorite VHS, an ever-looping, eternally burning Yule log. That log has burned since the tape was available, and it only ever takes breaks when Christmas is put away. I think of the fireplace never being used as a place for fire, but instead being teased across the room from a TV set showing him what could be, what should be. But then I think of the reliability of that Yule log, a custom put in place before I was born, a stubborn, dependable tradition, the comfort a habit brings, the comfort in things that don't change, won't change. Immovable, traditional. This must make a man.
Rewind.
The date is hazy, but I'm too young to naturally know how to swim and too small to be buoyant enough for survival. My mother asked my grandfather if he'll watch me and my siblings by the pool.
Fast forward.
I made it in the pool, all by myself. My grandfather sits idly by.
Pause.
I can't swim. I don't know how. I'm in the water and worried. I can't swim. I don't know how. I can't breathe. Just calm down. No, I can't breathe. I don't know how. You're just worried. No, you're just drowning. You don't know how to swim. You do know how to drown.
Play.
I'm splashing and struggling and probably crying, but it's too wet to know for sure. I see my grandfather look down at me from his pool chair as I argue with the water to let me have some air. I'm too small to reach the bottom. There must be a bottom. I imagine myself trapped in a bottomless pool, always almost breathing. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I don't know how.
Stop!
My mother grabs me while she berates my grandfather. As I cough up water, he looks down at us and says, he'll have to learn how to swim somehow. Apathy. A lack of concern. The fine line between being carefree and careless. This must make a man. But now that I've buried all these men, waxy bodies, a near parody of the men they used to be, I'm left with no answers. I think of what these men have given me, what they've passed down through their genes and their actions. I've got it. The barrel chest, the blonde hair, the baby blues. I'm a baker boy, so they tell me. A white lit outline of a baker boy. I fit the bill perfectly. You must be a baker boy. That's right. I must be. But how am I supposed to be a baker boy? Why can't I see it? Do I need to adjust the tracking? Or do I want to see things clearly or leave them fuzzy and blurry and static? I don't think this feeling is regret. Can I regret not what I've done, but who I am? Most days, I love who I am. But would they? Most days, there isn't regret. But should there be? After all this contemplation, the mascara gets cried off, the earrings fall out, and the nail polish chips. And I'm left wondering if I'm the man they wished I would be. Or if I'm just some finicky pink Pinocchio waiting to be a real boy.
Regret, like all of life, gets messy. It gets tangled up with other emotions. Sometimes untangling that web can seem impossible. And it means something different to everyone you talk to.
Regret means I wish I had listened more closely to the world around me and seen the signs that would have taught me the right course of action. Now that something detestable has happened, in retrospect, I can see the right path so clearly. I wish I had been mindful enough to listen and apply what I had learned before the harm was caused. I regret lashing out in anger. Even though what I said was true, I should have been more supportive. I would have done it so differently, knowing what I know now. know we'll never see each other again. And it's heartbreaking every time I remember how we used to be together.
I wish there was a book that I could give everyone with a secret formula for how to hold the losses in your life. Hold them so they wouldn't hurt so much for so long. A recipe for your personal grievances so that they could be delicious and not bitter.
Dear Kristen, it's 3:30 a.m. Waking up to a world without you is a bigger blow than I expected. I know that right now you are facing the edge of eternity, and I hope you are feeling peaceful and brave. You were always brave enough to make the right choice, and I hope you are feeling that courage now. I can't imagine work without you. You were always my favorite coworker, and I will always have a special place in my heart for you. I will always remember your laugh and your cadence of speech and the way you would say, "Okay," to the customers. We talked about everything, and I remember how kind you were to listen to me talk about boy troubles. You would literally sit in your car after our shift had ended, and I would dance around the parking lot acting out my dramas, and you would laugh and encourage me to be my truest self. Thank you for coming to see my show. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for everything. I'm so sad you thought it was your time to go. Where does that leave me? How will we move on without your light? I don't know how to reconcile the fact that I think you made a huge mistake, and also that you knew your own pain deeper than we did and did what you thought was best. I'm so sad without you. I love you. Godspeed. Love, Ellie.
Sometimes the most important thing in the world is to know you're not alone.
Hey, thanks for bringing me to this thing. I hardly ever go out anymore.
Yeah, COVID and all that.
Hey, do I know that? Hi, I'm Ellie. You look familiar.
Maybe we have the same Insta friends?
No, I think she's our waitress from that date we went on about a year ago now. Also, hi. Nice to see you again, I guess.
Jesus, you're right.
Kind of weird that we went to a restaurant during the beginning of COVID, huh?
And now here we are, sitting in a room in a circle, talking to people. Life kills you anyways.
Oh, yes, right. You were very particular about things.
And this is Trina. We're in a writing group together.
Hi, Trina.
Hi, nice to put a face to the story. It looks like we're about to start.
But I think we have a new group leader this week. I saw a sign on the door.
What? What happened to Alex?
All right, everyone, this is Group Therapy. I'm your host, Alice Regret. Let's go around the circle and meet our contestants.
Sorry, contestants?
Participants. I said participants. So, I know the flyer said that we'd be talking about grief tonight, but I thought that we'd start with something smaller, but related. Sometimes our feelings get all mishy-mashy together. And so it's hard to tell what's really our grief, which is very big, and what we regret or what we're guilty about, which are smaller, not the same. So if we can take apart our grief and identify what's really regret, shame, guilt, we can master our easier feelings and thus be better able to deal with the big stuff, right? Right, so let's start with regret. Everyone take these buzzers. Yes. And let's go around the circle and everyone say your name and what's a good fun fact? Our hometowns, and of course, what you regret the most. Would you like to start?
Okay. Wow, deja vu.
Me too.
Hi, I'm Devin, and I'm a barista from Kingston, New York.
And what do you regret the most?
I regret dropping out of college. I was going for modern dance.
Stop. Incorrect.
Excuse me? How is that incorrect?
That is not the thing you regret the most, but you just keep on that buzzer. Play. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm a waitress from Socrates, New York, and I regret asking this dingus out after he unceremoniously turned me down.
Ooh, I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
I'm sorry, are you a human lie detector test?
We always wear the truth on our faces. This dingus is the least of your concerns.
I take some offense to that.
Next, you. What do you regret the most?
Hi, I'm Trina. I'm a writer from Rosendale, New York, and I regret not applying in time for my Danish citizenship.
So sorry, that is incorrect, too.
How would you know? This is ridiculous.
Well, not to worry. There's a lot to be learned in double regreparty. I mean, group therapy. And last but not least.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm a semi-professional bowler from Kingston, New York. I would really rather not share my regrets. I will just say that some people are not as honest as they pretend to be.
That is also incorrect. You folks are really on a roll today.
Okay, how about I regret asking Devin out on that first date?
I'm sorry, we can't accept that.
Breaking up with my first boyfriend.
Not quite.
Well, how about this, since this is what I came here for, not spending enough time with my dad before he died.
You have a dead dad? Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Yay, we're all members of the Dead Father Society.
You're all also wrong.
Are you sure this is a good way to run the group?
I just feel like we're competing to see who has it the worst. Just like not a supportive environment.
I definitely regret bringing Trina here.
Stop. Incorrect.
You're incorrect!
Let's try something else. Tell me who said this. You're such a bitch. I wish you would just stop interfering in my life. I'm an adult, and just because you're a couple years older than me doesn't mean that you get to tell me doesn't mean that you get to choose how to live my life. So just stop trying to control me already and go leave with your dumb alcoholic boyfriend. Ellie!
What is a quote from some dramatic movie?
Not quite. Trina.
What is something someone would regret saying?
I'm sorry, we are looking for a name. A name of someone in this room.
Jamie? I mean, who is Jamie Clarkson?
That's correct! First correct answer all night. Double points if you can tell us what her sister said next.
Nothing. She said nothing. She just left. She got into the car with him, and I got into mine.
Correct. Now we're cooking.
I'm sorry, but seriously, what is this game?
Not a game. This is group grief counseling. Jamie, let's do a quick role play. Where are you going?
Out?
Where?
Don't worry about it. I told Mom not to wait up. But seriously, you two are both like way too overprotective.
Oh, Jamie. Are you going on another date? Another online date?
So what if I am?
It's fine.
Well, I mean, how else am I supposed to meet anyone? You know, my classes are all online. All the bars are closed.
I said it's fine. Just be careful.
I know. Wear a mask, keep distance, no touching.
Because we live here too.
Yeah, only because you were furloughed.
Jamie, I just want what's best for you.
See, I know that, and I'm gonna be safe this time, okay? So don't worry about it. You know, I'm sorry I messed up last time.
I'm sorry. Yeah, your track record isn't great.
No, I know, and I'm sorry I messed up last time. But we're all fine.
Well, last time.
What's that supposed to mean?
And the time before that. And the time before that.
Sarah?
I'm just saying, if you can't help yourself, there's a lot of things to catch out there besides COVID, okay?
Can you mind your own business?
I'm sorry, you should just hear some of the stories that Jack says about his friends.
Would you stop pretending that your relationship is so great? You know that you're only saying it because COVID makes dating impossible.
Jamie, can you please not talk about Jack that way?
Oh, and what's so great about him, huh? Ooh, 24, living at home, and drinking all day?
We're in a pandemic. Everyone is drinking more. These are depressing times.
God, whatever.
Can you just shut up?
You're such a bitch. I wish you would just stop controlling my life. You know, I'm an adult, and just because you're a couple of years older doesn't mean you can choose how I live my life. So would you just stop interfering with it already and go with your dumb alcoholic boyfriend?
Great role play, Jamie. Top notch. Who would like to go next?
Rewind.
Hey, that's my shtick.
Rewind.
We're in a pandemic. Everyone is drinking more. These are depressing times.
I just am trying to look out for you, Sarah. I don't think it's okay. That he is okay.
Can you just shut up?
No, just because you're older than me doesn't mean you're right all the time. You know, I can know what I'm talking about too. You're not a perfect person. None of us are. And I'm just trying to help you. I'm telling you that he is bad news. Rewind.
Will you just shut up?
But no, just because you're the big sister doesn't mean you don't get to hear me when I'm trying to help you. You know, just like how you're trying to help me. We have to look out for each other. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. Okay, so just please stay with me tonight. You know, I'll cancel my date. In fact, I'll stop dating altogether and stay home with you every night so we can keep each other company and stay safe and protect each other, you know, forever.
Okay. How do you feel?
What?
Yeah, are you okay?
That was intense.
I'm fine, thanks.
I'll go next.
These days, I choose not to look back at those moments in my life as regrets or lessons that I learned from, so I can leave out the harshest part, the process, judging myself. I don't regret my past actions so much as I acknowledge them as the best I could do at the time with whatever stresses I was under during those events. And that's okay.
That is okay. I love you. So, this is a recipe for your personal grievances, so they can be sweet, not bitter. Some ideas and stories about people doing the best they can. And just know that I think those scars on our hearts make us beautiful too. Now, may I offer you tonight some new definitions of regret?
A feeling of sadness.
We're the best we could do at the time.
Disappointment.
Or a learning tool.
Regret is the emotion of wishing one had made a different decision in the past.
Or a reminder to be kinder and exemplify honesty.
An expression of sorrow caused by something beyond a person's control.
Or wishing one had listened more closely to the world.
A note politely refusing to accept an invitation. I send my regrets.
There I go. That was my mistake. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for tonight's production of We Regret to Inform You, devised, produced, and presented by Little Ghost Theater. I'm about to welcome the cast back, and we are going to start our post-play discussion. So, cast, can I please have you join me here in the stream? Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Great. So welcome. I have some questions pre-prepared, and we'll see if we get anything from the audience tonight. But first, could we go around? Let's start with Tim, and then we'll just go around counterclockwise. If I could have everybody introduce themselves and say their name and their involvement in the show.
Hi, I'm Tim Bruck. I go by he, she, they pronouns. I am a co-writer and actor in the show. Next. Oh, wait. There we go. Next.
Hi, I'm Geneva Turner. I'm an actor and co-writer in the show, and I go by she and they pronouns.
I'm Trina Bode-Peterson. I'm one of the co-founders, artistic directors of Little Ghost Theater, as well as a co-writer and actor for this particular piece. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns.
Hi, I'm Anika. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a co-founder of Little Ghost Theater, as well as a co-writer of this show and an actor in the show.
Hi, I'm Sil. I use any and all pronouns, and I am simply an actor in this show. Glad to be here.
And we are glad to have you. And as I said at the top, my name is Charlotte Peters. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the director of this show. So first off, starting off with partially an audience question, but partially a question I had initially. I'm not sure devised theater is a form of theater that everybody is familiar with. So I'd like to kick off, what is devised theater? What does it mean to you? What is it like generating this kind of work?
Sure, I'll dive right in and people can add whatever they want to add. So devised work is collaborative work. It is something that you make all together with a group of people, and it is done differently by different groups of people. For us particular, we started out with a theme, which I think you can tell is regret, and then basically gave ourselves writing assignments and different other assignments as far as finding materials and inspirations about that theme. And started piecing together a script. This particular script went through a workshopping phase and an additional phase. Like we started with just Anika and I writing. We got a framework that we really loved. We brought in Geneva and Tim to write some more. And then we workshopped it. And based on the feedback from the workshop, we formed the structure and added in the host character to really make a narrative for the piece. But yeah, so devised work is just, that's what it looks like for us in this particular piece, but it can be so many things as long as it's like a group making it all together.
All right, and what was the process of writing collaboratively like? Somebody in the chat has asked just more about the process and how that works for Little Ghost or this particular group.
I think it was overall a lot easier than I expected it to be. I was nervous that I would be very precious about what I had written and that I wouldn't want to share. But as we worked together, like I grew to trust my co-writers, and I would like let go of holding on so tightly to my pieces and allow them to add in their influence to it. And I think that really helped create a show where we all had our voices heard.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah. I would just say Geneva and I came on about in the middle of the project, and we were given the task of writing a couple additional pieces. And what was really fun about that was, a good chunk of the show was already well written by Anika and Trina. And so it was really fun to not necessarily find the gaps, but experience, take that theme and kind of run with it and be like, where are we not fleshing this out? Like what needs to be fleshed out more with this theme? What is a little more, just adding some flair to it with our own personal touches. So that was really great. I think if I had been with Anika and Trina at the beginning stages, there would have been a lot more anxiety about, oh shoot, we got to create a whole show. Whereas we just kind of added some additional pieces, which was a wonderful involvement from my perspective. So
Yeah, lots of fun. And definitely it was about like trusting each other. And a lot of us have worked together before, but then bringing Sil and Charlotte on after we had written everything, and then seeing how like what we wrote translated, and how, you know, just seeing how it evolved from there too, was really awesome.
Awesome. So this is more of a question. This is a question for the writers in this group, but also for Sil, for you and me. We can jump in on this one as well. So what about, this is a very specific theme. So what about this theme inspired you for this piece? And also, what did you sort of learn in the process of like diving into this specific emotion as deeply as you did? Yeah.
I think it was interesting for me because when we started, I was kind of like, I don't have regrets. I live and I learn, and it's something I'm not familiar with. But then as we did more soul searching, I really came up with a lot of things that I regretted, and I came to understand it's more universal than I had initially given it credit for. So that's something I learned and experienced through this project.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. So when we first sat down in our like Stagecraft Sundays to discuss what topic we wanted, we were like, I think we had a list of like 10 different words or ideas. And this idea was actually originally shouted out by someone else who didn't end up being in the end product. But everyone was so excited about it at the time that we're like, yeah, let's just go for it. And I had a similar thing where I was like, I don't think I have regrets so much as I acknowledge those moments, you know, as stated at the end of the show. And then I really, through the writing, like, I just got so hung up on like, it's so big, it's so little. Like, what is the actual exact meaning of a regret versus just like something that was unpleasant or like whatever. And so I kind of felt like I was peeling back onion layers of regret as I was writing, because you know sometimes you would cry with a certain piece you wrote, or sometimes you'd be like, oh, this is just ridiculous. And I really want to acknowledge that like this is just our experiences of it, and that there are so many more, like, yes, it's universal, and it was so cool to like have moments in our writing from different people overlap, sometimes the exact phrase, a lot of times just a sentiment, without any intention. But there's so many other regrets out there that aren't explored because everybody has their own nuanced versions of it, which I think is like something I wanted to acknowledge, and I like really appreciate now on a level I didn't before.
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of a prickly emotion to talk about because it's like a nagging feeling. It's something that comes up when you get stressed out sometimes, and it's true, like we all have some that we're carrying around, and it does loop us back again and again. And sometimes that can be like a good thing. Like there are things in the news, like I hear regret in the news all the time. Oh, they regretted this and that, and that's why the news ended up in the piece. So, you know, there's a good side of it, and then there's the side that is, you know, that you've got to let go of eventually.
I really loved the final scene that was, I think, mostly Trina. It was collaborative. We all had our ideas, but this final grand theme scene, because there was a lot of overlap when it came to regret, and that's what we really tried to break down specifically in that scene, but in earlier scenes as well, is where's the guilt, where's the shame, where's the grief, like where are all these other underlying emotions that kind of, you know, like Geneva's character says, get all mishy-mashy together and kind of peel those things apart. I think we had even talked about changing the name or the theme at one point because there was so much grief, you know, because all of that was so interconnected. But I think, you know, it was really lovely to explore all the different facets of regret and where it kind of bleeds into other areas of our life. So
just want to dive in real quick. that last scene, the first half was primarily Geneva, and then the second half with the sisters was primarily me, but it was a little bit of a collab of both. But just
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's awesome.
I'm curious if Charlotte has anything like being thrown into this. I know I'm not the moderator, but like being thrown into it and like delving into these specific regret things, like if anything.
Yeah, no, this is something that I was actually going to turn like my response into a question back at the group again, which was like, Trina, you were talking about like the macro and the micro, and it's so big and so small and so big and so small. And this show touches a whole lot of definitions of regret. And that was the thing that I, diving into it, was trying to be really specific about for myself, was like how to separate it from all of these other emotions that it touches, and like finding a definition of it. And I think the one in the show that I liked the most was, and that like I felt like the most connection to, was like sadness over an unfortunate outcome in a reasonable situation, where like it is very reasonable that the set of circumstances could have ended up one way and it absolutely did not, and that sucks. That is just the worst, and you can feel bad about that. And so then my question, turning back to the group again, is like, what did you find a definition in working for this, or is it still everything and big and small, macro and micro?
It's everything for me.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I think the show just made me just realize that I had, like Trina and Anika were both saying, that realized that I actually had regret. Like I live with a lot of anxiety and a lot of like, oh, I'll never do that again, or all those kind of things, but never have really thought of those or thought of myself as a person who has regrets, because I think we have some sort of like sanitized version of like, I live without regrets, weehaw, YOLO. Like, I don't know. There's like some sort of like higher tier of like someone who doesn't have regrets, when that I think is just someone who is probably too ignorant of or naive about their own feelings, without really, the process of regret, the process of self-judgment, the process of looking back at your past and learning from your mistakes. I think it's easy kind of to not do that, So I think diving into that is a lot harder.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Ooh, go ahead.
No, I'm done. That's all.
I was gonna say, I feel like it was actually the opposite for me, as someone who wasn't diving deeply into much, except this text. I had a lot of regrets, I think, and that's why it was appealing. I'm someone who carries around a lot of like negative feelings, and that's like something I'm trying to change very much so. So reading this piece and like kind of working through that, playing Trina, I was like stepping into, it was really nice almost to step into that thought process of like being outside of the process I'm going through, I guess, or like being able to sit down and be like, I'm confused because I'm not compartmentalizing that like other people's problems aren't my problems. I can't control everything. Like regret really is like out of your control sometimes, because you're feeling things about something that is over. There's no going back. You can't change anything. So what all you're doing is like carrying that. So it was really interesting. Tina just seems like as a character, not as a person, like, because I'm trying to separate that at like someone who's really, don't be sorry, but like it was really nice. It was really nice to play a character like that, being where I am in my life right now.
I hear you on that. Like, and especially on that, trying to find something to do with it. Like, I feel like I understand it as like either like something where if you're feeling like you want to change something that happened, like the extent of which like you have to think about that is like whether or not you had any control. And if you didn't have any control, then trying not to think about it is better and move on. And but yeah, like trying to craft yourself as a result of things that you can't change anymore, and that it's a journey. And I feel like I sort of learned something in doing this show with all of you about how to work with those emotions and move on. So thank you guys for
That's
that.
awesome. A question from the chat, really quick, looping back to process. How long did it take from the conception to the production at this point? I can tell you, I know we started rehearsals exactly 1 month ago, but how long before that was the process in process?
How long was it in process?
November.
Nice.
We started, I think our first writing assignment was due the first Sunday in November, or we had our first meeting about the show the first Sunday in November. I can't remember which of the two.
So approximately 6 months, let's say?
Approximately 6 months. Yeah, we started out really slow because the Stagecraft Sundays I was talking about were weekly workshops we were doing with Little Ghost theaters that were open to the public. And we basically, would have them once a month. So we were using that time to devise this piece. So every month we would come back with our writing pieces done for the first, I think, 3 months. And then we hit January and we're like, well, we're not going to do Stagecraft Sundays anymore. There's a pandemic. Virtual isn't the same. So we started meeting every other week and doing more writing assignments. And I think end of January is when we brought Geneva and Tim, mid-January, sometime in January.
Living in a pandemic, does time exist anymore? I don't think so.
That circle.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Speaking of moving to virtual being different, I did want to talk to you guys a little bit about the experience of doing a digital play, because as is evidenced, we are all in our own homes right now, still throughout these United States. And what did you feel were both the challenges but also discoveries of doing a play in this format versus doing one in person?
I think for me the set, like having done a few virtual like plays, I've never done like this where like we recorded it and then they kind of like put it together. So it was like I have this moment of hearing like the background sounds and I was like, it's almost like you're watching a movie but you're not watching a movie because it's all clearly like we're in our house, like on like a streaming platform or something. So that was really like, I don't want to say weird, but it was certainly an experience. I was like, this is something I've never really felt before.
Totally.
Yeah, no, it was weird. It's weird. Yeah. I'll say it's weird.
It's so weird.
I want to say the positives. The positives, let's give a round of applause to Charlotte, our director, and Peter, who did with the editing. Incredible. And you can't get that with live theater. You can't get you can get sound and you can get like using things like that. But the digital editing, just beautiful. That looked incredible and really kind of sold it for me as someone who's been a part of it for a while. As a performer in my body, it is strange because, acting is reacting. And it's just like all I want to do is like be in a live space with someone and feed off of their energy. And it's very difficult, let alone the things that are out of our control, like internet or our personal space or like sounds around us that other people can't hear, but only you can't hear, that are distracting. Just the idea of trying to connect with another person, even watching the show tonight, I was like, man, I have such a difficult time looking at the camera because I'm just staring at each one of you because your faces are so important to me and my reactions. So there was a lot. I would say it was very difficult. It was a much more difficult process than any stage show I've done. But it wasn't any less enjoyable. So
This is a difficulty. I would also ask how much, because I've not actually done like an acting in approximately 10 million years because I am a vampire. But how much harder is it to learn lines in this environment?
Oh, really hard.
Let's say for me, it was about the same. I feel like I had the same arc of my lines where I'm like, yeah, I got them so good. And then I go to meet with someone, I'm like, oh, wait, no, I don't have them at all. And then there's always one or two that like I just, for some reason, trip me up. But I feel like for me, maybe I'm just strange, but it was almost the exact same kind of line learning experience. I did want to mention before we jump totally on just to like the line process that like there were two things that were really interesting for me. This summer, Little Ghost did a 24-hour digital theater performance, and we did a Shakespeare sonnets performance in the early pandemic. And I realized for both of those shows, I didn't have the proper lighting, and I just did it while like literally sitting in bed. And the insistence in this show to stand up to perform was a game changer. So like I don't know if everyone else figured that out earlier in the pandemic, but good lighting and like standing up, like this first performance or the first rehearsal where I stood up and did it, I was like, oh, this feels like rehearsal again. I have not like memorized lines. I'm clearly listening to my partner and I'm standing and in the moment, and it was awesome. So I can't suggest that like enough to just like, even though you're not in the space, really do everything you can to make it like the rehearsal space. And the one thing that's fascinating but really hard, I think, as Tim was touching on, is like staring at the camera instead of at the faces of people here, because the more you can really like just react based on what you're hearing and not necessarily what you're seeing in your peripherals, the better it is. I noticed that my performance got better and better the more I was adapting to just playing off of what I heard versus me needing to check in and see what their reaction was.
Man, I should have done that.
For next time.
Yeah.
Thank you for that sage wisdom. That's yeah. I was thinking like one thing about the acting into this. It's because I'm like I'm used to the stage, and I haven't gotten a chance to even try film yet. But I'm like now this is the stage is all like in here, and everyone is really small, and like there's so bringing like big energy into talking to like what are those things called that we made in elementary school out of shoeboxes? You know, and you fill it with stuff. Yeah, that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like I felt like it was harder also to remember the lines when I was trying to adapt to that new way to relate. Because in person, you know, you can feed off like each other's energy, and I felt like we did find that as we got closer to the end of the show. But it is a little bit different being broadcast. So.
Yeah, I would say it definitely felt very similar for me, if not like I don't know, for some reason it's a bit easier for me to like learn lines like when I'm on my own and then kind of like just do them. But it was so hard to, this is like the fastest I've ever had to like get off book for something. So it was so hard to figure out if I should treat it as more like a film or a stage, because like for stage it's a lot easier to make adjustments, at least for me. Like with my process of learning lines, like it's hard for me to practice with someone because I will get so used to their someone who isn't my scene partner specifically, because I'll get so used to their responses that when I am in the scene, I'm like confused. So, but with film, it's kind of like when you're looking at a camera, it doesn't matter. So it's kind of that of like when you do have experience playing with both, how I'm still not sure like how to meld them and like what to focus on and what skills to take from each one. Because like I can look at the camera and like say lines, but I can't connect with my scene partner in the scene if I'm like you were saying earlier, Tim, like I can't connect with my scene partner if I'm looking at the camera. And especially when like the internet connection will get terrible, I can't go off of what I hear either because it's not there sometimes. It's like behind, it's not working. Like it's so hard to just like get it to feel like a moment, I think. It's harder for me to make it feel like a moment in virtual space.
Right. I think,
and that kind of makes it harder with my lines because like I can't find the moments.
yeah. I think the thing for me is this show is pretty, I mean, at least from my part, is pretty balanced between dialogue and monologue. So when it came to like big, hefty monologues, it was kind of like, okay, like I'll do it. And I've only got myself to blame if I mess up, like whatever. But it was the dialogue that I really needed help with. And my partner, like after, I don't know, 6 rounds of running lines was like, do it yourself. Like you figure it out. You've got it. Who cares? But I don't know what I was going to say. Something about what Stelia just brought up. Yeah, I don't know. Learning lines was not easy this go around for me. And usually like I've done huge monologue-y 18-page whatever monologues before, and it's like easy peasy. Like that's one of my go-to skills is my short-term memory. But this one was rough. This one was rough. But that was just, my experience with it. So
I wonder if we're all experiencing a little bit of COVID fatigue too, and have been sort of trying to like get above that.
It was funny.
Just with like everything that's going on outside, regardless of, and then on top of it, pouring our hearts into something that, is, I don't know, far away. There's a distance there because, we were writing in like kind of spurts, and then we got together, and it started to feel like really real, I think, when Charlotte gave us the schedule, like the Excel schedule, and we weren't sort of like, but yeah. Go ahead.
I'm good.
Okay.
Can I like, because that question seemed like a roundabout way of asking, does it being your own writing about your own stuff like change how you interacted with the text? And like,
interesting question.
Because I know that as someone who did not have that connection, like it still resonated. So like, what was it like? And then if you weren't sort of reading your own writings, like what is that like, just to like kind of sit in someone's heart like that?
I found a lot of uncanny, like I related really a lot to the monologue that Tim wrote, which was the one that I performed. So that's something that I have been battling with. And
nicotine addicts.
It was like uncanny how much I related to what everyone else wrote. And then we also changed who was saying what lines, like as we worked through the piece, and sort of like as it evolved and we read each other's lines and changed roles, like it was just cool to see how much of it was relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think originally I had this idea that we would all like have one piece that was really personal to us that we would do, and then some that weren't. And then I ended up not reading any of my own monologues, which is totally fine. I loved how everyone else handled them, but it was definitely interesting, seeing the transformation between like what I wrote and how other people felt it and adapted the nuances of it. I think honestly though, the scenes I did write that I was in, those were the couple places where it was like memorizing was a little harder. For some reason, it was harder to memorize the words I wrote for myself to say, because I wrote them like the last scene I wrote after I knew I was cast in that role. The first one I wrote long before, and when we were originally reading it, I was always the other role, which was what Geneva was talking about when we all like boggle shook parts around and we restructured it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found out everyone had a dead dad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I wrote too much. I don't know if that answers your question fully, Silva. I think it's hard to detach from your personal writing, but the more I heard it, the easier it was, and then the more fun it became to see what other people did with it once that detachment happened.
Yeah, I kind of cheated. I wrote 2 pieces. I wrote the nicotine addiction piece that Geneva covered so beautifully, and then I wrote Devin's like contemplations about masculinity, and that was all personal to me. It used to be Bruck instead of Baker. Like all those things about those men in my life, very true. The drowning thing, totally true. But the whole concept of like grappling with masculinity and what makes a man, that's all kind of bullshit. I don't really care about that. I'm very happy in my gender fluidity. Like, who cares? But so I wrote it because the concept for me, first of all, with the addiction piece, was I wanted to write about regret in a way that it was actually very positive, that your regret should change your bad habits, and that regret is actually eating you alive, but you're still living with it. Like you're actively choosing to live with regret and how damaging that can be. And then the other side I wanted to write about was, again, like I say in the piece, not regretting what you can do, but regretting your identity, like who you are. And you regret a part of yourself. And so I just thought, whatever, queer it up a little bit. Devin, likes to show his feminine side, when he's alone in his room. Good for him. So there were definitely there was a personal connection, but I was still like a character per se. So it wasn't really like I wasn't reliving my trauma about drowning. Like, I don't give a shit, whatever, it happened. So what? My grandpa wasn't a bad guy. He was just a sick old cis white head dude. Like, who cares, So there was a bit of distance. I kind of put that cheat in for myself. But great question.
I found that I had to step back from all of my writing. Like at a certain point, I had to just let it all go. And as I worked on the pieces that I wrote, I had to distance myself from it and say like, okay, this is the text now, and now I have to give it that respect that I would if some other author had written it. So like, what backstories do I need to come up with? What work do I need to put in? Even though I knew my own inspiration for writing it, I had to like distance myself to like come at it as an actor.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Thank you for your answers.
Question.
So that covers all of the questions I have for you guys. Does anybody else have any final thoughts, feelings, considerations about this piece before we wrap it up?
Shout out to everyone who donated. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming to see the show. We totally appreciate you and hope that you come again to another thing we do.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we're keeping, as Charlotte mentioned at the beginning, this link is going to be up for a week. So please tell people if you liked it, share with them, share parts of it, share all of it. We would love to, share this piece with as many people as possible. Also, I really want to give a shout out to everyone who donated tonight to Rise Up Kingston. Thank you guys. It's coming through us so that we can get like a number. We're going to be continuing to collect donations for the whole week that the video is up. And then when that's over, Little Ghost will have a number that we can say or not say or whatever. Just that way it would be nice to just like know what the lump is and do it all at once at the end of the production. Of the production's run. Tongue-tied over here.
All right. Well, all right. On that note, thank you all so much for all your work and for putting this lovely piece together. I'm so glad that we got to do this. And again, thank you everybody for coming and for sharing the show as broadly and widely as you do. We're so grateful for you to be here tonight. All right. Good night, everyone. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.